guys, it's Nikki here. I'm here today to do my movie review to go along with my book reviews for I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. The spoiler and spoiler-free book reviews will be listed below if you want to peruse those. My movie review for today is going to be kind of spoilerish. I'm not going to get into too many heavy details, but just because of a few of my dislikes, I am putting a spoiler warning up here because there is a chance that it will spoil parts of the movie for you if you haven't watched it, although I recommend reading the book and watching the movie either simultaneously or within a short period of each other. In the movie, you follow Robert Neville, same as you do in the book. In the movie, he's represented by Will Smith, who I think does a pretty good job. There are a few changes. Here, you follow Robert Neville around during his daily life, and you have the same survive. However, as with the book, Robert Neville is researching kind of what's calling the vampiric illness. But unlike Robert in the book, Robert in the movie is a trained scientist in the medical field, and because of this, he is having a lot more success at perceiving and understanding actual science. So his science background enables that aspect of the story to be a lot more amplified, which is really nice. I thought it added quite a bit to the narrative. And overall, I found the experience pretty okay, and I'll move on to my likes and dislikes here. My first like is actually Will Smith's representation of Robert Neville insofar as the role he was given. In the book, he's like this pasty blonde hair, paunchy alcoholic, and in the movie, Will Smith does a really good job representing him. One of my favorite kind of dramatic roles that he does a really good job with representing both the science and the kind of stoicism that you expect from someone who's been alone for so long and isn't really good at expressing emotion. My second like is just kind of visually the world that was set up in the movie. Their use of computer graphics just really did a good job emphasizing kind of the desolation of what Manhattan would be like post-abandonment by the people who are caring for it, and it made for a really dramatic background to Robert Neville's daily life as represented in the movie. And my third like was the premise of the infected in the movie, where they evolved from what they were infected with and what it did to them. I felt like it was really well represented. In the book, you get a lot more stereotypical along the lines of the vampires, and in the movie, they don't come off quite the same way. Yes, they still have that issue with the sun, but they're represented a little bit differently, and the way they act is a bit different than they do in the book, and I found it very interesting and I enjoyed the take on it. That's all I really have to say about my likes. I'll move on to my dislikes now. My first dislike was how much they changed. They changed Robert, they changed a bunch of the plot. If you left out exactly how much they changed, the premise that was left was still interesting, but it wasn't the same as the book. So having read the book and watched the movie, I'm a lot disappointed by that. Which leads me to my second dislike, because I was so disappointed that they changed the ending completely. The ending in the book was the best part hands down. And neither ending of the movie, either in the theatrical edition or the edition released later, was any good by comparison. I have to stop, otherwise I'm going to rant about it. And then my third dislike was just the general design of, the general character design of the infected or vampire characters. Because the thing I like about the book is you get to manifest your own features within that stereotypical vampire look, because they're called vampires, but it's not really vampires. And the book just gives you that extra freedom to really create a character that puts you on edge and falls in line with what you think they should look like. And in the movie, you just don't get to do that, and the character design they used was very strange. Rather than look like people infected or people that are hiding from the sun, I really thought they looked almost like burn victims, the way, just the texture of their skin and the way they move just really threw me off, and I did not enjoy the character design for those guys. That's really all of my dislikes here. With that, I will move forward with my characters. All right, so the only character I'm going to talk about is Robert Neville. He is very different from book Robert Neville. I do think they upgraded in some ways from the book, because I really like Will Smith in this role, and I think he does a very, very good job with it. In the movie, he comes off as a lot more badass, a lot more scientific, and he does a really good job at still keeping the character very humanized, so you do relate to him quite well, which is awesome, especially just with his relationship with his dog. I also appreciate the lack of alcoholism, which was really frustrating to read. The last thing I really have to say about Robert that I really enjoyed was the level of awkwardness that Will Smith represented him with. I really appreciated his interactions with people after having not been around for people for so long. They were really, really appropriately awkward and weird and just like emotionally chaotic for him, and I really, really appreciated that. That's all I really have to say about the characters. There weren't side characters in the same way there were in the book, and the few that there were I don't really want to talk about because I didn't care for them. And I'll move on to my wrap up now. So as I do typically with my movie reviews, I have two different ratings. I have the rating as the movie unto itself, and then I have a rating for it going from the book to movie adaptation. So starting with just the movie rating, overall I found it a pretty enjoyable watch. The movie itself was pretty cheesy through most of it, but still fun to watch, and the ending was very cliched and anticlimactic, both versions of it, the one where he dies and the one where he doesn't. And although I think Will Smith did a really good job, I actually think it came kind of at the expense of the story that was translated over. Overall, I did enjoy the movie unto itself quite a bit. It wasn't perfect, and I probably won't watch it again, having watched it a couple times at this point, and that leads me to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's pretty average. The acting was really well done, but there were just parts of the movie that I didn't enjoy because they were a little too cheesy or a little cliched, and in a way that I don't particularly care for. Now with my book to movie adaptation score, this is lower, to say the least. I really did enjoy Will Smith in this role, however, I found he was upgraded at the expense of all of the elements that I enjoyed in the book. There's a lot of plot elements, especially the ending, that I just really, really loved that did not get into the movie, and I think it would have really bolstered my enjoyment had they got in, especially since the ending was such a big deal for me. While the bare bones are still there, so I can't give it like a terrible score in terms of adaptation, it's almost like someone read the synopsis off the back of the book and went from there. And so just the world that was created in the book really wasn't there in the movie. So it didn't translate over that well just because of how the screenplay was written. And with that, it leads me to give the book to movie adaptation score a 2 out of 5. That's all I have to say today about the movie. Like I said, if you're interested, book reviews will be in the comments below. Let me know what you guys thought of the movie, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Here I am doing my very high-tech script, and as I'm doing it, I look out and go, do I need to go out for anything? Yeah, the answer is no.